Hello. Welcome to Point of View. Today, we are going to talk on why Donald Trump presidency is over. It has taken a good deal longer than it should have, but Americans have now seen the con man behind the curtain. The president, enraged for having been unmasked, will become more desperate, more embittered, more unhinged. He knows nothing will be the same. His administration may stagger on, but it will be only a hollow shell. The Trump presidency is over. Peter Wenner is an American writer and former speechwriter for the administrations of 3 U.S. presidents. He is a vice president and senior fellow at the Ethics and Public Policy Center, a conservative think tank, and a fellow at the Trinity Forum, a nonprofit Christian organization. A contributing writer at The Atlantic and senior fellow at EPPC, said, "When, in January 2016, I wrote that despite being a lifelong Republican who worked in the previous 3 GOP administrations, I would never vote for Donald Trump, even though his administration would align much more with policy views than a Hillary Clinton presidency would. A lot of my Republican friends were befuddled. How could I not vote for a person who checked far more of my policy boxes than his opponent?" What I explained then, and what I have said many times since, is that Trump is fundamentally unfit intellectually, morally, temperamentally, and psychologically for office. For me, that is the paramount consideration in electing a president, in part because at some point, it's reasonable to expect that the president will face an unexpected crisis, and at that point the president's judgment and discernment, his character, and leadership ability will really matter. It took until the second half of Trump's first term that the crisis has arrived, in the form of the coronavirus pandemic, and it's hard to name a president who has been as overwhelmed by a crisis as the coronavirus has overwhelmed Donald Trump. To be sure, the president isn't responsible for either the coronavirus or the disease it causes, COVID-19, and he couldn't have stopped it from hitting our shores even if he had done everything right. Nor is it the case that the president hasn't done anything right. In fact, his decision to implement a travel ban on China was prudent, and any narrative that attempts to pin all of the blame on Trump for the coronavirus is simply unfair. The temptation among the president's critics to use the pandemic to get back at Trump for every bad thing he's done should be resisted, and schadenfreude is never a good look. The president's misinformation and mendacity about the coronavirus are head-snapping. He claimed that it was contained in America when it was actually spreading. He claimed that we had shut it down when we had not. He claimed that testing was available when it wasn't. He claimed that the coronavirus will one day disappear like a miracle. It won't. He claimed that a vaccine would be available in months. Fauci says it will not be available for a year or more. Taken together, this is a massive failure in leadership that stems from a massive defect in character. Trump is such a habitual liar that he is incapable of being honest, even when being honest would serve his interests. He is so impulsive, short-sighted, and undisciplined that he is unable to plan or even think beyond the moment. He is such a divisive and polarizing figure that he long ago lost the ability to unite the nation under any circumstances and for any cause. And he is so narcissistic and unreflective that he is completely incapable of learning from his mistakes. The president's disordered personality makes him as ill-equipped to deal with a crisis as any president has ever been. With few exceptions, what Trump has said is not just useless, it is downright injurious. The New York Times, on Sunday, published the first in a series of stories based on President Donald Trump's tax returns, citing tax documents and data spanning 2 decades. One of the more notable revelations from the report was that Trump didn't pay taxes, or paid very little in taxes for several years. The Times reported that Trump paid just $750 in taxes while campaigning for president in 2016, and $750 in taxes during his first year in office. Trump tweeted Monday that he paid many millions of dollars in taxes, but was entitled, like everyone else, to depreciation and tax credits, since he used tax laws to help lower his taxes. Donald Trump is shrinking before our eyes. The coronavirus is quite likely to be the Trump presidency's inflection point, when everything changed, when the bluster and ignorance and shallowness of America's 45th president became undeniable, an empirical reality, as indisputable as the laws of science or a mathematical equation. It has taken a good deal longer than it should have, but Americans have now seen the con man behind the curtain. The The president, enraged for having been unmasked, will become more desperate, more embittered, more unhinged. He knows nothing will be the same. His administration may stagger on, but it will be only a hollow shell. The Trump presidency is over. Thank you for watching.